Hey, everybody. Fascinating discussion today. How can we make AI safe, compliant, and actually useful in the enterprise with Witness AI? Rick, how are you?
Hi, Evan. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Such an important and timely topic. Before that, maybe introduce yourself, your bio background, and journey to Witness AI.
Sure thing. So I'm Rick Caccia. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WitnessAI. I have a long history working in early stage and later stage security companies. I was at Palo Alto Networks before this, Google Cloud. Was on the team that took ArcSight public prior to that. So long history in security analytics.
Well, fantastic to have you here. Let's talk about the core mission of Witness AI. How would you describe it exactly?
Sure. So what we're building for customers is what we call a confidence layer for enterprise AI. We help them remove doubt about enabling AI and let them do more. The mission for us is to basically enable safe AI adoption for big enterprises.
It sounds so simple, yet there's a lot of complexity underneath.
There's a
How would
lot.
you define safe and even productive AI use? What's a good definition?
Yeah. So I think, we sell primarily through the security organization. So like a CISO, a Chief Information Security Officer. And if you ask them what they're worried about in terms of AI safety, they call out a couple of things. The first is they say, well, I want to make sure my employees are using all of these crazy, wonderful AI apps and systems that are out on the internet that I hear about. ChatGPT, Gemini, but also AI inside of Grammarly or Salesforce. So one part is how do I make sure my employees are using all of this freely available third-party AI safely? So my data is protected, they're protected from what comes back. So that's sort of an employee safety compliance use case. The second thing they'll say is my developers and my AI teams are also building models and building chatbots. And these business units want to roll these out to our customers. And I want to make sure those are safe. I want to make sure they're not attacked and knocked over from jailbreak. I want to make sure that they don't do something dumb. Hopefully, most of us remember like a year and a half ago, the whole dealership that put ChatGPT on the website and then sold the truck for $1. That's also safe AI. So I want to protect against that. And then more recently, they're saying my developers are standing up all these great agents and they want to use agents to automate their workflow, but those agents have access to data and file systems. I want to make sure those things are safe. So safe AI enablement is my employees use this stuff in a way that's protected. When we roll AI out to our customers, it's safe and their data is protected. And then we employ agents in our network. Those things work in a way that is safe. That's a long-winded way to talk about how we think about it.
Really helpful. And you're balancing control, which we in the security industry love, but also innovation. Is there a sweet spot or a balancing act that you're trying to achieve here?
And I wish there was a real simple answer to that, Evan. What I would say is the big change for me, having spent 30 years in various security vendors and speaking to hundreds and hundreds of CISOs, is that the big shift is sort of historically with security. The security org will be, this reputation for being sort of Dr. No. They say no to everything. And not a single CISO will say that today. They'll say, I can't be Dr. No anymore. I need to be Dr.
Mm,
Yes. I need to enable it. So the good news is this isn't one where you have to explain to them that they have to innovate and balance. They know it. The question is, they're going through is how do I enable my people to use this stuff in a way that's they're fast and productive, but also safe. And they're using our tools to do that.
also well said. So many pain points enterprises face with AI right now. I mean, one that's huge is shadow IT or shadow AI use. That's pretty much endemic in the enterprise. So many compliance blind spots. Are those the biggest ones, or what am I missing?
That's a big one. And it happens in a funny way. So you'll talk to a company and they'll say, well, I block ChatGPT. They don't say this much anymore. I mean, 6 months ago, they'd say, well, I block ChatGPT or I pay for the enterprise version of ChatGPT and I block everything else. And we'll say, well, at Witness AI, we're tracking like 5,000 AI apps on the internet. Are you blocking all 5,000? And they'll say, wait, what? I thought there were 40. And like, no, there's thousands. And so then they'll connect the product. And, it's like turning the light on. Like when I was in college, I lived in kind of a crappy apartment and come in the kitchen, turn the light on in the morning, and like roaches would sort of scatter in the corner. And you get a little bit of that here. Like they connect Witness in, they turn the light on, and they'll find that there's all kinds of apps that are being used and they didn't know about them. And more importantly, at first glance, you don't really know that much about them. You don't know what components they're built on. You don't know where they host their data. My legal team is using some really cool app, but it's hosted in North Korea and it's being used to sort of suck in, private information from corporate law firms. So the shadow AI part is not just where are they going, but should they be going there? And you're right, like finding that's a big deal. But then the thing that's making that even worse is sort of shadow agents too. That's coming on. It's going to be much worse. Like there are going to be all these agents running around in a network that have been turned on by people or built by people. I want to see those too. And I want to make sure those don't have access to things they shouldn't. So the shadow AI part's a big deal, but it's only the start. Like sort of seeing it and controlling it is step one.
Yeah, well, step one's an important step. And you have such a great perspective. How is AI different from traditional cybersecurity risks? It's, not just about breaches anymore. And, is there even a playbook now for using AI in the enterprise?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So I think what seems different to me in a lot of this stuff is the conversational nature of AI with an intelligent partner on the other end. It's much harder to understand where the interaction is going, and it's much easier for sort of a smart, malicious model or bot on the other end to take a conversation in a risky direction. If you think about something like SQL injection, it's a much sort of historical kind of way people get data out of a company. It's a much more structured way to go. Prompt injection is much less structured. There's different
Mm,
ways people can sort of could take, can drift the conversation and so forth. And so the way we view it is that the typical ways that you control this stuff aren't going to work in an AI world. Like take data loss protection, this DLP. These are products that build these regular expressions. They look at kind of tables and see where there's confidential data. They'll build a regular expression that'll say, well, this is a social security number. In an AI world, like doesn't really matter as much. You want to worry about things. I had a CISO of a big pharma company ask me, he's like, look, our biggest problem is we bring all these PhD interns in the summer, and they put all our drug discovery research into like ChatGPT and ask for a summary of it before they go to meetings.
wow.
And how are you going to block that with DLP? And so what we've come up with is something we call intention, which is we've built models that scan conversations and now increasingly agent transactions on the fly to try and figure out what's someone trying to do here and control it at the intention level more so than the data. The way I kind of put it is, listen, if my teenage kids have a friend over to our house, I don't want them rifling through like my desk drawers when I'm not around or rifling through like our dresser or whatever. I don't really care what they see in there. I don't want the action of rifling through to happen. And sort of controlling the intention is where you say that. So we think that's an interesting thing in the age of AI of how you control risk is controlling things at the intention level.
Oh, great insight. And how do you view the impact of regulations that are either happening, the EU AI Act now, or pending? I mean, what should companies do to prepare before laws get tightened even further, which inevitably I think they will?
Yeah. So right now, I have top 3 customers in 5 different unrelated regulated industries. So airline, power utilities, automakers, telco, and I'm missing one for some reason because I'm nervous on this call, but a lot of them. And the interesting thing is they're all worried about regulatory, and they're worried about future regulations, but everyone's worried about that. There's an equally big risk, Evan, about older regulations. Let me give you an example.
Mm,
PCI DSS has been around for a long time, right? Payment card industry stuff. I mean, we implemented reports for that at ArcSight 15 years ago. When people think of AI regulation, they think of EU AI Act, and that's going to be important. But the older regs all apply here too. HIPAA, PCI DSS. If somebody is putting payment card information or things that is in scope for PCI in a prompt, and we had this at one customer. They had someone in customer support in a different country pasting information that was at risk, for being scoped for PCI, and asking for grammatical help with their English in an email, but they put the company at risk. So it's not just the new stuff; it's the older stuff that sort of gets cracked open with AI. And I think companies aren't necessarily thinking about those older regs as well.
oh, such an interesting insight. And where do you see this sort of collision between AI and cybersecurity headed? It seems to me, from my little point of view, the attackers are kind of using AI faster than the defenders. If I look at my either the phishing emails and texts I get as a quasi-public figure on social media, at least, they're just incredibly good. Um, are we going to win this battle? And where are the blind spots over the next year or two?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I was in a panel last week, this AI panel, and one of the questions was, does AI help attackers or defenders more? And 100% the response from all of us was it helps attackers, right? The
Mm,
speed with which, not just the speed, but the cost with which it helps attackers.
mm,
And I think that's important. And I think realistically, when people think about AI in cybersecurity, they think about applying AI to defending against traditional attacks. And I think that's important. But there's a lot of other areas that aren't sort of the traditional security attack speed that you need to worry about. It's some of the compliance stuff we've talked about. It's when Windows has agentic support built into it, it's sort of like remote desktop protocol all over again. And
mm.
how do you sort of deal with that? So there's lots of things in there. It's not just the typical security FUD. And we started this way. So when we started the company 2 years ago, we started there. We went to security orgs we knew. We said, you're going to stand up AI. It's going to get attacked by AI. Let our AI protect your AI from their AI. And 2 years ago, the CISO said, I just don't care. That's 2 years away. And now they're just starting to care about it more. And so we have to worry about that. But there's all these other compliance and governance things that aren't quite security, but you need to worry about.
Oh, so well said. And I know customers are notoriously reluctant to share feedback on their security practices, postures, but do you have any anecdotes or real world stories of how you're helping customers, protecting customers, and blocking risks?
Yeah, let me give you some things we've seen and also some things, some enablement we're really proud of. I'll start with the
Mm,
enablement. So with one of these customers I called out, they, previous to Witness, had blocked all AI access through their firewall. No
mm,
ChatGPT, no Gemini, no nothing. They put in Witness. In less than 10 days, we put 150,000 employees under witness protection, as I like to call it. We put 150,000
Epic. Yeah.
employees into production, and we were there when they turned off their firewall rules. And in the morning before lunch, none of these 150,000 employees could use any of these amazing AI apps we hear about. They came back from lunch, and 150,000 of them were all able to use this stuff. And think about if you're one of those people, you read about how amazing these tools are, and of course you want to be an AI-enabled marketer, accountant, customer support person, developer, or whatever, but you can't. And then you come back from lunch, and suddenly you can, and you can use it, and you're powerful, and you're still safe. Like that part, we are so proud of. What we've seen at other companies when they turned it on is what I would describe as best intentions gone awry. These are people trying to use AI to be productive and doing inadvertently bad things. So it's the example I talked about where someone in a call center in India put a bunch of, live financial account information into an email to another company,
Boy.
said, "Hey, ChatGPT, help fix my English grammar before I send this to the other company."
Mm.
And the CISO's like, "Oh my God, you've put all this crazy stuff that's a potential lawsuit. Like, let's block it." We've had other ones where they've seen developers, these are companies that do billions with a B dollars of revenue through their mobile apps. And the developers are putting all of the source code for those mobile apps into these chatbots and saying, "Hey, why don't you help me optimize the code?" And the CISO's like, "My God, the amount of intellectual property you are leaking here and trying to do your job is um, is spectacular. Good thing we're stopping it." The other thing that's coming that's kind of interesting is we have a bunch of customers who've turned on B2C chatbots, right, to sell tickets, sell cars, whatever. Evan, what do you think the first thing that happens with every one of these companies when they turn their B2C chatbot on is? The most common thing that happens across all of them. What do you think it is?
um, uh, you got me. I'm stumped.
100% of the time, the first thing it does is recommend the competition.
Okay. Okay.
um, those are it's like, I didn't realize that was a thing. The first time we heard it, we're like, "Oh,
Wow.
funny." And they said, "Well, the model doesn't know it's
Oh, wow.
company and not Y company. It doesn't know
Interesting.
that it's A car company and not B car company." So when someone goes, "Hey, I make this much money. I want to go to Puerto Rico and have a hotel on the beach. What's the best hotel for these requirements?" And the the bot goes, "Well, you should go to blah blah hotel." I'm like, "Well, wait, I'm blah blah's competitor." So you see there's the data protection and the intellectual property protection, but it's also like brand protection, right? We've seen every one of these bots start to recommend the competition, and being able to control that. And there's things Witness does under the hood to stop that from happening in the system prompts. And to be able to control that is pretty interesting. It's valuable. It's just as valuable as protecting against an attack.
Wow. What a story. Amazing. So I guess if you're to recommend, some smart moves to CISOs, CIOs on next steps in AI security, like this quarter, next quarter, beyond looking at Witness AI, a tool that looks fabulous. What else would you suggest, people wise, process wise, to get ready for this next wave of AI that's hitting the shore?
Yeah, yeah, good question. So I would say the first thing is you can start in phases. So what we find is no company has great visibility, and it's kind of trite, but you can't control what you can't see.
Mm.
But the first thing you want to be able to do is see things. So you want to start with some level of observability. You want to see who's doing what they're accessing. So what things my people are accessing, what agents exist, and what they're trying to do. And every customer we have starts with observability, and I want to watch it for a while, see what's happening, because then that informs where you turn on policies. And I think AI is going to be interesting because, look, being in security a long time, security vendors need to be very careful when customers use their products to block things, because you know you sell some product. Historically, you've had these products that get turned on, and the first thing they do is like block the CEO from getting to the web, and the CEO calls IT and someone gets fired. So you want to be very careful, because for this AI stuff, once you can see what people are doing, you want to control it for regulatory and security purposes, and you want to do it in a way that doesn't cause people to go crazy because they're blocked. So that's why once you observe, you want to start turning the policies on in a very careful, limited way. And that's a good path to go. So see it, then start to control it. The things that we've seen go wrong, um, large corporations often have different divisions, and those divisions have their own separate identity management.
Mm.
Those things are all configured differently, even when the products are all from the same vendor. You know, I have Okta everywhere, but it turns out I have Okta in 7 different divisions, and they've each constructed it differently, and the fields don't match. So when you put it together in a system like Witness, it doesn't look right. It's all gibberish. So you have to kind of make sure that your roles and your rules and your identity are there. But that's just kind of tactical stuff. I think the start with observability, then start turning policies on in smart ways is the right way to go.
Well, great advice. So practical. Thanks so much, Rick, for joining and sharing a little bit about your vision and mission. Really important stuff.
Thanks, Evan. Thanks for having me. Glad to be
And
here.
thanks for that. And thanks everyone for listening, watching. Check out our new TV show, techimpact.tv on Bloomberg and Fox Business. Thanks everyone.